Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I'm here with the second layout using my Gossamer Blue July 2016 Life Pages kit. Now this is going to be a 12 by 12 layout, so I just pulled out a couple of 12 by 12 sheets at the very beginning here to kind of flip through and see what I think would work best with the colors of the products that I have left. Now the very first thing I'm going to do, and I had this kind of in my mind as something I wanted to do, is to punch a border around the page and then stitch it using some white not embossing embroidery thread. And so that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this so you don't have to sit here and watch it. But what I'm doing, the reason I'm doing this is just to kind of create a soft border around the edges. There are going to be a lot of white elements in this page, and then as you can see, the background is that kind of distressed looking wood grain pattern, and it has a lot of white tones in it. So I have now completed my stitching. Very simple, just basic stitching around the outside. And then I'm kind of trying to figure out the placement of my photos. So I'm going to trim these down just slightly. They started out 4 by 6 and they kind of end up about 4 by 5, I suppose you can say. And then I'm going to mat them on some white cardstock. I'm kind of keeping my layout off here to the side so I can still see all the products that I have left in the kit here to the right. Now I thought about using the pink pattern card, 4 by 6 card that I have in the kit as a mat for one of my photos, but then I decided I really wanted them to have the same mat, so I kind of nixed that idea and just pull out a piece of scrap white cardstock that I have left. Now if you're not familiar with this paper trimmer, it's like the best ever. It's the Caterpillar Crop and I absolutely love it, and I use it primarily as my I use it as my primary trimmer on any project that I use. So now, because this is a 12 by 12 page and I do have a good amount of embellishments left, I still decided to go ahead and flip through the 3 by 4 cards that I had, or that came in the kit, to see if there are any that I want to use for different elements on the page. And then I very quickly found this one. I think it was one of the first cards I looked at that says, "Make Today Awesome." So I just cut that out. It's just a banner. It was in the middle of a 3 by 4 card, a filler card. And I cut that apart and I'm going to use it up here at the top. Now, at the moment, I still have the little string on it that held up the banner on the card, but I'm going to trim that off and just use the banner itself. There are a few acrylic pieces in the kit that I kind of play around with using. I'll lay them out on the page just to see if I like how they look, but I don't like the color that it adds. I do like the teal, but to me, it doesn't add anything to this layout, so I'm going to take it off. However, I am going to use those wood veneer pieces. They're a thin wood veneer, and I am going to go ahead and use those. I'm going to stamp my title, and there are some words on this stamp set, and 2 of them say weekend. Well, one says weekend and one says adventure, and I'm going to use that as my title here, just to put weekend adventure. And I stamped it left justified, and then I stamped it center to kind of see which I prefer, and I do prefer the centered look. I'm just using some paper tray ink. Smoky Shadow ink is actually what it is. And in order to kind of bring that teal down to the title as well, I am using the offcut pieces from where I had cut that banner out of that 3 by 4 card. So I didn't cut up another card, I just used the leftover pieces I had from that one. I'm going to make it into a banner, and that is going to be my title. Now I'm going to play around with it in a couple different places just to see if I like anything better, and this is where I'm going to settle on, down here at the bottom. Now it kind of brings a little bit of a triangular look to the teal elements that I have on the page. I have the banner at the top. Even though I'm going to trim off that top part of that banner, it still has some teal outline on it. Then I have my title down here at the bottom. This is Weekend Adventure, and then I do have that journaling card that has a teal and white pattern on it. And I am going to put some journaling on there, but it will be one of the later things that I do on the layout. Now, there is a black banner here, but it just seems too bold to me, so I'm going to cover it up, and I'm going to use this pink one that says All My Heart. And the reason I chose that pink one instead of the teal is because I just needed a little bit more color on this layout. I really like how fresh and simple this layout looks, without it being so filled up with embellishments, but I felt like it just needed something extra, so I pulled in the pink elements for that. And there are literally only going to be 3 pink elements on this layout. I have the heart at the bottom that says happy. I have that banner that's going to layer over top of the journaling card that says All My Heart. And then there was another one that had another chipboard piece that had 2 colors on it, and I just cut off the little end that had the heart on it, and that is going to be my third little pop of pink on this layout. There were some really pretty sequins that came in the kit, so I pick out all the white ones and I use them all on this layout. There are, well, I think I use all of them. Oh no, I don't use all of them, but I do use 2 in each cluster. That's right. I like the kit. The fact that the kit came with a lot of different colors made it really nice to have that sequins available. So there we go. I just have 2 in each cluster. I have that wood veneer heart star banner on the top left, and then I have the wood veneer tab on the right side of the bottom photo that just has 3 stars. Now, there are only 2 pieces of wood veneer on this layout. However, the background is a large wood grain print, so I felt like the wood veneer felt like it fit without being, just a random embellishment that was added. Now, to bring in the stitching one more place on this layout, I'm going to do a little bit of stitching on that card, and since I'm going to layer the All My Heart chipboard piece on top, I just did a little bit of stitching across the bottom, and it kind of stitches into where the points of the banner are that's already on the card itself. So you're going to see some of that black banner just peek out behind the pink banner that I'm going to add, but there's already a couple black elements on the layout, so it does not look out of place. I do have this glassine bag that came in the kit. It was just where some of the elements were packaged. I think that's where the acrylic pieces came. But I just like the softness that it adds behind that journaling card. I always keep the packaging that I get any of my products in if it looks somewhat decorative or I feel like I can use it. So like the glassine bags or the envelopes or, the packaging that may have a pretty print on it. I keep all of that just in case I might be able to use it later. This pretty much is how the layout is going to end up. I haven't adhered much down, so I still have to do all of that. And I'm going to add a couple staples here and there using just my regular stapler because I still have yet to buy a tiny attacher. But they're just purely decorative staples. The wood grain pieces are already adhered down. Not wood grain, wood veneer pieces are already adhered down, but I just felt like adding the staples. I felt like it would add just a little bit of something different to the layout, especially since I don't have a tiny attacher. I don't have a lot of staples on my layouts in my album, so it's something a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my photos down with my title. Now I am going to put my title on a little bit of foam tape or foam dots that I have in my stash. And then again, since I'm layering the heart over top of it, I'm going to put some foam adhesive behind that to make sure that it stays popped up. These photos are of Kaylin and my mom outside of her house, and I will read you my journaling here in just a moment so you can see what I say. But Kaylin likes to hang out at my mom's house a lot because she has a lot of land and she lives outside of Charlotte, so she doesn't have, we live in Raleigh city limits in North Carolina, and so it's not necessarily a big city, but it is a bigger it's still the capital of the state, and it's a decent sized city. It's not the largest or anything, but it's a very decent size. And when we live in city limits, green space is pretty much limited to parks and things like that. So when we are at my mom's house, it's a very different feel for him, and he absolutely loves it. You can go explore in the woods, and she has a couple acres of land. Well, more than just a couple, but she has some land, and we like to explore in the woods and in her gardens and things like that. So these are just some photos of us one afternoon walking through her rose garden, and this was actually in February, so there are no roses, but we're walking and just kind of enjoying the day, and you can tell he has a stick in his hand, and then they're just kind of looking at something. So just thought it was kind of a nice moment to capture between grandma and grandson. And my journaling kind of reflects that. It says, Grandma's house has some really cool things to do. Exploring the outside is something we really love. We can stomp in the woods and play with sticks and run around without having to worry about cars. The only thing we have to worry about, snakes. Or we only have to worry about snakes. And that's it. And really, snakes aren't really much of an issue, but it's just kind of reemphasizes the point that we're out in the woods and we're just kind of enjoying ourselves. So I am actually typing up my journaling, and then I'm going to cut it apart and adhere it down onto that card itself. I had briefly thought about writing my journaling on there, but I decided not to do that and to just print it on my computer and then cut out the strips, because I like the look of the typed journaling. I feel like it's just a cleaner look, and when I'm kind of going for a more simplistic layout, the typed journaling kind of adds to that simplistic look without muddying up the layout with handwriting. And handwriting is not, I don't mind my handwriting by any means, but it definitely gives it a little bit more of a rustic look versus just a clean look. Now, I will just say, if you do type up your journaling, make sure you read over it and make sure you didn't, leave out something important like a pertinent word or something like that. So I had realized I had left out the word has, so the sentence was not complete. And so I went back and just retyped that, and then cut it apart and exchanged it for the strip that I had cut out originally. So now my journaling actually makes sense, and that is what I had read you just a moment ago. I love the look of typed up journaling, and I do not have a typewriter. If you did not watch my Scrappy challenge, tag challenge on Tuesday, go back and check that out. That would be the thing I buy if I were to buy something extra. So anyways, this completes my layout. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back shortly with something new for you guys. All right, thank you. Bye.